You're not. You have to move over. Move that phone over. This way. You gotta edit all this stuff out. Okay. Let's see. Come sit. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're
fine. Okay. Okay. Is every school in our district, which we're in Waxahachie Independent School District, required to have the same master schedule?
No, but everybody's required to have a master schedule, but it will not look the same on every campus because depending on size, for one, we are the largest school, and then the other ones are all around 600 or below, okay. And then some at 300, and so that's going to look total.
Some at 300.
Yes. I know, we have 680. So,
wow.
660, sorry. And so that's going to make a look difference. But here's going to be the kicker, and I think we can spend a little time on that, is looking at the schedule between a general ed classroom versus a dual language classroom, because I don't think a lot of people understand the components that go into a dual language schedule versus a non-dual language schedule, because there are some components. And so we can look at a kindergarten schedule just to kind of look to see exactly what it kind of entails, because you still have the same amount of minutes that you have for ELAR and for math, social studies, and science, but there's other components that have to be brought in.
Because we're one of the only ones. There's only two of us, right?
Us and another campus have the dual language students, and so, and I will just kind of let's just take the ELAR block, okay? So your ELA block, let's say it's from 8 to 10. Okay. So 2-hour block, 120 minutes, okay? So an ELAR regular general ed one will be the 8 to 10. Of course, you have your different components. You have your reading, you have your writing, you have your whole balanced literacy that's within that. But even in the dual language, but some other components that belong to the dual language is that they do have a required minutes of bilingual literacy centers. Okay. And it's not just stations like Daily 5 or something like that you would see in the general ed. So that is a component that they have to add. So it should be at least 30 minutes. And so it's hard to fit in there. We were talking earlier.
Oh, so they have theirs broken up in between that.
Yes.
To make it 30 minutes. Okay.
So the dual language classroom starts the same time. ELAR, we're only talking about the language arts block. So the dual language will be SLAR.
Okay.
And so what they would be doing is they have that same block from 8 to 10, just like the general ed classroom, but at 9:45, they're going to make sure that they do their bilingual literacy center, at least start it. Then what they have scheduled from 10 to 10:15 is recess. So they break that bilingual literacy center up, and then they put it at the tail end of the recess. So so from 10:15 to 10:30, they finish their bilingual literacy centers.
Okay.
Now what you saw differently a while ago was that, okay, recess 10 to 10:15, then all the other general ed have a restroom break. So bilingual literacy people don't have that, the dual language, they don't have that built into their schedule. Okay. So those are some things that they have to, now does that mean that they don't go to the bathroom?
No, they probably send them out of their classroom.
They have it in their classroom. Right. They have a bathroom in the classroom, which helps, and things like that, but allow for water bottles and things like that as well in the classroom. So that's a huge component right there, just to try to fit all of that in. Any questions on that so far?
No.
And then this is K2 that we're working with the bilingual literacy centers. When you look at 3rd through 5th, another component that they have to have is their PBLs and their project-based learnings and their research centers. Theirs are their research. Yes. They have to have theirs built into the day as well.
Every day?
Yes.
Okay.
It's part of their research, bilingual research centers.
Okay.
Okay. So bilingual literacy centers at the bottom, research centers at the top. So that's just another component. Now it fits within the SLAR and ELAR block,
right?
But those are other components that you have to include. Teachers have to be masterful in including that in other content as well, because that's really the time to include all of that, is being able to spread that across the curriculum.
Right.
So it is
like using social studies or science passages for the okay.
Yes. Okay. Let's continue with kindergarten. With the kindergarten one, let's see, social studies and science is always in Spanish, and so that's the thing that they have to do. So if they're switching with an ESL teacher, there is a transition in that as well. So they have to work through that. They have,
Those are the general
this
ed?
is the general ed. They have a transition and restroom break. The looks like the dual language never have a restroom break, but they do have restroom breaks. But they do have to maximize those times to get all the components in. So, and then the other issue that comes along as we go around is at the end of the day where your early bus kids are leaving at 2:50, and so they're missing 20 minutes a day on their instruction. So it does add up, and so that's why there's no restroom breaks.
Okay.
Just no.
Well,
they
even when you build them in, the kids still find ways to go.
I know they do get a restroom break, but that's just an idea of what you see how the schedule can be complicated, but it does have to go around your programs. It has to go around the required minutes, so you have to have your required minutes that go along with it. You know what? One of the things that has helped is the teachers observing themselves and saying, okay, and collaborating, okay, we've got to maximize this time. What is it can we cut out? So it really is coming back, and with the help of our dual language coordinator and Region 10 support and us as instructional leaders looking at it together, then we can come in and help tweak some of the things that they're doing.
I think it helps to watch other teachers just for anything, because you get ideas. Just collaboration's important, Yeah.
But you can see if we didn't have the dual language, then it would be an easier schedule to follow.
Right. Very straightforward.
Very straightforward.
Right.
It was.
That makes sense.
It is harder. What else? Oh, one other thing we didn't talk about, and I saw that up here in the notes, is the gifted and talented, another pull-out program. So, you always go back. Is it a pull-out program, or do I need to do the enrichment within the classroom? So if the enrichment is within the classroom, that's also a piece. Okay, where is that going to fall? So it goes into the planning. And so those kind of things that you got to have that purposeful planning those enrichment activities for those kids.
Does every school have gifted and talented program? Every district have, are they required to have that by the state? Okay.
Now, what that looks like is different.
It's
from campus
not
to
always
campus.
like they pull them out of class.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah.
Okay.
What else?
I think that's it.
Because we can go a little bit more on the clustering, on the scheduling. Because when we were thinking about scheduling, and like you guys, we had to fix some things in the schedule because you had the cluster groups of the SPED students, for instance.
That's I feel like that's a challenge. I
It
feel
is a
like that would be
challenge.
I guess what was the most surprising is that I thought that was going to be the most challenging part of it, was trying to, accommodate the SPED cluster.
It is, because we got to the point where we had to go back and rearrange class schedules because we had too many in a classroom. The percentage of SPED students was higher than the non-SPED students,
And that's a state mandate? Okay,
because
so
anything that's
doesn't change.
50% more, it becomes a special ed class.
Okay.
And so we did have to balance those.
And you can't have a special ed class. It can't be called a special ed class.
No.
It has to be.
If it is, we have to notify parents.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yes.
So was this, because I know this year was hard for that.
Yes, it was hard.
Was this one of the hardest years for that?
I think it was, because we did inherit a lot of students that we were not prepared on getting. So with the rezoning of the district, that pushed our numbers over a little bit. Also, not only from the rezoning, just people that move in. And so we had a lot of move-in students that were not here last spring that we were planning for.
Right.
And so all of these new kiddos that we have that are identified as a special needs student or whatever, or special services, then that went into play. Yeah, that was a beast at the beginning of the year.
That's really
the community. Okay, then that's the other piece: communicating the master schedule and the clusters with your PEMS and secretaries and things like that as they're enrolling students. They see, okay, this person is the GT cluster, this person is the SPED cluster, this person may be the dyslexia cluster or ESL cluster. So
does every school in our district do it like that?
GT is like that, for sure. There's a couple of campuses that also do it, and they do the clustering so that way when you're doing inclusion support, their schedule is not,
they don't have to go from class to class.
Yes, and so that's why. But it's difficult because you've got to make sure, I have to make sure I communicate with my secretary to let them know, oh, we've got to do something. When this reaches a certain number, we need to make sure that we look at it again.
Or all the kids are already put in, and then it was
like
step
sending
It was
letters
like
to
that,
sending
yeah.
letters to parents. Sorry, but we have to move your child, or making those phone calls. And we were very fortunate that parents were cooperative.
Right.
So
It's kind of hard on us.
it was hard on everybody.
Yeah.
It took 2 days out of my life.
Yeah.
I can't get back.
Okay, I'll never get that time back.
Yes.
Well, I think we're good.
Okay. Did you hit it again? Did you hit record twice? How many?